Hey nerds, Alex here from Nerds Being Geeks. I know, I'm late to the party, but here it is. My set review of Chaos Rising through the eyes of a Gym Leader Challenge player. I do want to give a shout out to PokemonProxies.com for these scans. I've been working on this video off and on like the last month before the set even came out, and I was getting my scans from them. So just give a shout out to Pokemon Proxies. Alright, let's start off with grass. You have this whole Chespin line. You really want to focus on the Chestnut, 180 HP grass type with the Needle Armor ability. If this Pokemon is in the active spot and is damaged by an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, even if this Pokemon is knocked out, place 3 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon for each grass energy attached to this Pokemon. That can add up very, very quick, especially if you have Meganium in play where all of your grass energy is doubled. Just hitting into this Chestnut could actually knock out the attacking Pokemon. And for 2 grass and a colorless, Impound does 160 during your opponent's next turn. The defending Pokemon can't retreat. I totally dislike this Pokemon line, but that ability is pretty good. Next up, we have the Fennekin line. Really, the only thing to talk about here is Delphox, 160 HP fire type with the Flare magic ability. Once during your turn, you may discard a basic fire energy from your hand. In order to use this ability, draw cards until you have 7 cards in your hand. It's kind of a worse version of, I believe, the other Delphox that lets you discard any card and draw up to 5 or 6. I can't really recall. I never really played Delphox. It does have the Energy Storm attack for 2 fire energy. This attack does 30 damage for each energy attached to all of your Pokemon in play. You could have a Rain Dance Pokemon in play that lets you accelerate energy all over the board in one turn. Next up, it's slim pickings when it comes to water, but there is the new Optimal Remoraid, 70 HP, 1 retreat cost, and for 1 energy, it does 20 damage. And the art's pretty cool. Moving on to Lightning, one of my all-time favorite Pokemon, Ampharos. Super excited to see a playable Ampharos in GLC. This one could have a little bit more of an impact than some of the other cards we've seen so far. So Ampharos, 160 HP, Synchronized Pulse ability. If you and your opponent have the same number of cards in your hand, this Pokemon's attacks do 80 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. And then for a colorless and a lightning, you can do 140. And the colorless energy is important because I tend to play counter gain in my lightning deck. This could make it a 1 energy attack cost if you're behind on prizes. Fortunately, even with that extra 80 damage, you would not be able to knock out a powered up Okidogi. You would still need a damage modifier. And look at my boy Ampharos. He's got 3 different arts in the set. Absolutely love it. Definitely getting some Ampharos love in this set. Alright, probably the most talked about card in the whole set, Deoxys, the Psy-Spear. Only 120 HP, 3 psychic energy. Psy-Spear does 120 damage. If this Pokemon has at least 2 extra energy attached to it, this attack does 120 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So this is the spiritual successor to Amazing Raikou. We have seen this Pokemon get a lot of screen time during the Full Grip Games Chaos Rising 3K event, and I believe there was a Deoxys deck that made it to finals. If the type you're playing has a bench barrier Pokemon, you might as well just find a spot for it. Lost City is also picking up a lot of steam, and if this very low HP Pokemon that you've based your deck around gets put in the Lost Zone, I don't know what to tell you. You're going to be swinging with Gallade. The thing about this Pokemon, also, it needs 5 energies. Your opponent is going to see it a mile away, and I guarantee they'll do everything that they can to negate you from doing 120 and 120. Some strategies to use with this Pokemon would be Gardevoir with the Psychic Mirage ability, where each basic psychic energy attached to your psychic Pokemon provides 2 psychic energy, and you'll see recovery like Wondrous Patch or Night Stretcher. Malamar with the Psychic Recharge, where you get to pull a basic psychic from your discard pile and attach it to one of your bench Pokemon. There's also the Xatu that is an extra energy attachment for turn. Playing a Monkey Dory deck, you can even Crispin and get a Dark and a Psychic on this. There are a plethora of ways to power this up, but you're really just showing your opponent what you're doing, and they can adjust accordingly. So Darkness got this Crobat that has the Nighttime Maneuvers ability. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, you may use this ability, search your deck for a card, shuffle your deck, and then put that card on top. Crobat doesn't have free retreat. It has to be in the active spot. Crobat is a stage 2. Yes, there are some pretty good Zubat and Golbat that has the ability to draw you cards as you evolve it, but it only has 130 HP, stage 2. It has to be in the active to use this ability. At least with Magcargo, it was a stage 1, and you could use it right on the bench. But, I mean, if you're playing a poison deck, that poison sound wave attack for 1 energy that does 80 and confuses and poisons your opponent isn't terrible. There's a bunch of ways to boost the poison damage between turns, so for 1 energy, it's not too bad, but to have it in the active, the only time to use it, there's just, yeah, you could do that, put the Dark Tyranitar and then Grimsley's move, and it's a lot of cards to get that set up. There's also this Quillfish, 90 HP, Poison Point. If this Pokemon is in the active spot, it takes damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon. The attacking Pokemon is now poisoned. That's pretty good, like I said. Poison can be manipulated to increase the damage counters put on it between turns. There's several stadiums, there's several abilities, just effects of attacks on some of these Pokemon. And then for 1 energy, you have Venoshock. If your opponent's active Pokemon is poisoned, this attack does 50 more damage, so that's a 1 energy attachment for 80 damage. And there's ways to poison it, like Hypnotoxic Laser, before you get attacked. Do want to mention this Metagross, 180 HP, stage 2. Really want to focus on the Magnetic Hammer. 4 energies, 150 damage. You may discard 3 metal energies from this Pokemon, and this attack does 150 more damage. It's enough to knock out a whale for sure, and Ogidogi and some of these other high HP problematic Pokemon. And ways to accelerate the energy onto this Metagross are cards like getting the energy back from the discard pile, like using Mount Coronet, Bronzong, and using this Magnezone that is your Rain Dance for a metal, and it doesn't see hardly any play. I actually played in my metal deck. I mean, you can use cards like Lady, get 4 energy out of the deck, Magnezone, 2 Metagross. That's 4 energies. You can do 300 damage. And there's also some support for metal that could also help this Metagross and just metal in general in the trainer card section. But before we get to that, we have items. Probably the big item of the set for GLC is going to be for water Pokemon in this big catch net. Shuffle up to 3 water Pokemon and up to 3 basic water energy from your discard pile into your deck. So that is 6 cards max that you can put back into your deck. And there's all these different ways to, search things out with like Inteleon and Drizzile, the Shady Dealings, and it's cards like Skyla can search out trainers, and shuffling 6 cards back into the deck is insane. There's also the special red card. You can only play this if your opponent has 3 or fewer prize cards remaining. Your opponent shuffles the hand and puts it to the bottom of the deck. Then your opponent draws 3 cards. So kind of, a pretty solid late game hand disruption card. Really the only good supporter and energy go to the metal players. This set has the supporter Philippe. Attach up to 2 basic metal energy from your discard pile to one of your metal Pokemon. That right there gets you halfway to the Metagross. And even if you're not playing that Metagross, this card should probably go into most metal builds. It's just a blacksmith, but for metal typing. It's just a great way to accelerate energy out of nowhere and get a surprise attack. But metal also is getting this special energy, Magnet Metal Energy. As long as this card is attached to a Pokemon, it provides 1 metal energy. The metal Pokemon this card is attached to has no retreat cost. This is fantastic. A lot of metal Pokemon are very heavy. They have high retreat cost, and this is just a great way to not only get an energy attachment for turn, but also allow you to have basically a float stone on an energy card. Just want to say thanks for watching. I appreciate it. This set is not really a GLC set. There's nothing in here that's really gonna move the needle. I don't see any meta really changing from this set. Just want to say I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you in the next one.